Mm. It is Tuesday, September 19th, and this is the Morning Cryptos. Today, we're going to explore a new currency called Quantum. Stick around. Let's look at it. All right, so if you have never been here before, my name is Mark Shepard, and I'm doing a project called the Hypnosis of Money, where I dive deep into the ecosystem of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to understand them and to understand also how the shift, the transformation, the transition from fiat currency into digital currency is actually happening in front of our eyes. So that's what I do, and I try to tell you a few stories. I try to bring a little mind mastery, hypnotic, conceptual awareness into it so that you can actually learn a little bit more about yourself and master your mind and your money for a change. Today is the 51st day that I have been at this, and I've only taken a couple of Sunday mornings off, but I've been grinding out here. And if you go back to week 1, 2, 3, you can kind of see kind of the process of exploration that pretty much any newbie experiences coming into these markets. People hear about Bitcoin and they want to get some, right? And then once they get Bitcoin, they're like, what do I do now? Like, how do I, what do I do when it goes down? How do I do this, right? And then you suddenly become aware there's more than Bitcoin. There's Ethereum, there's Litecoin, then there's a whole host of coins you've never heard of, but you start hearing about them, right? I started hearing about Dash. I was like, wow, Dash is pretty cool. And then I started hearing about Monero. Oh, that's pretty cool. So I heard about something called the Basic Attention Token, which I have a few of, just like, ooh, what's going on? Okay, so in some ways, a new currency has some similarities to a Ponzi scheme or any investment pool, because some people come up with the idea, they create the currency, and then they have to get other people to use it, right? They have to bring other users in. And the people who get in early and buy low, as the cryptocurrency gains acceptance and more people want it, it basically is a typical market scarcity, supply and demand, right? And then the market begins to have a perception, and then there are people who think it's going up and people who think it's going down. So you have these different bubbles of perception. And the mass media is always asking, is it in a bubble? Is it in a bubble? But they don't ask, is it in a bubble about the most important things like the stock market, really, or real estate, or some of these other more entrenched organizations that are kind of teetering right now on the edge of just craziness. And the US dollar is gradually going down, down every year. Your dollar buys less. So there is a movement in the world there are countries that are getting out of the US dollar. They're buying gold, right? So that's interesting. You can buy gold, you can buy silver. That's the traditional way to store wealth. It's been used for thousands of years. The problem is you have to hide it. You have to hide it from your neighbors. You have to hide it from your relatives, right? Sometimes you forget where you put it, right? And it's heavy, and you can't take gold to the grocery store. Eventually they'll hook up a debit card to your gold, but so it has some problems. We're in the digital age. We're used to going places with our credit cards and having an instant response. And one of my colleagues, he's one of my best friends, and we help each other with our businesses. I helped him overcome some anxiety years and years ago, and we just hit it off, and we've just been supporting each other ever since. He's kind of like my research team. I'm like the first in, and he's the guy that, like, I'm the first in the pool. I just dive in, just go in the pool, right? I see a new idea. I'm like, okay, I'm like a Labrador Retriever with a tennis ball, man. I just got to get it, and I gotta fetch it. I gotta gnaw on it. I gotta chew on it. I gotta taste it. I gotta play with it. I gotta experience it. I gotta make mistakes. I gotta do dumb shit so that I can learn, right? My friend Mike is, he's really good at the math part. He's good at the numbers. He's, and my girlfriend's really good at research. So I have these people whose skills and aptitudes complement mine. I don't have a numeric mind. I have a conceptual mind, and I have a visual mind, and I can look at a chart and kind of sense that there's a pulse, right? And right now we're looking at the quantum chart, and I'm going to talk about quantum here, but this is my preamble, so hang with me, okay? I'm going to take a drink of coffee here. All right. So we know once you get into the Bitcoin space that Bitcoin has some challenges. 70% of the Bitcoin mining is done by one group, Bitcoin Core, right? And their influence has been very, very heavy upon Bitcoin. And so that defeats the idea of a decentralized currency if one organization has kind of glommed all the mining. And so they're trying to fix Bitcoin, but the whole process of fixing Bitcoin has taken like 2 years too long. And although the world has heard of Bitcoin and it's strong, it has some real challenges. The transaction times can be infuriatingly long and can just absolutely frustrate anything you want to do. And then the cost of making any kind of exchange is going way up, right? So in the meantime, Bitcoin is first to market. And I've said this before, is Bitcoin the AOL and the MySpace of currencies? Like sometimes the first to market is not the best because all the bugs haven't been worked out. There's a process of, taking a square stone and grinding off the edges to make it round, right? So that it actually rolls. And sometimes something new to market just hasn't been refined enough. Think about the cars we drive today versus Henry Ford's Model A, right? Think about the planes we fly in today compared to the first Wright Flyer, and then later the Wright brothers went into business with Curtiss and the Curtiss Wright Flyer. Those businesses are no longer here, yet they contributed vastly to the collective knowledge. And that's what's happening with humanity, is this collective knowledge. So we had Bitcoin, then we have Ethereum, and then Litecoin, and they've all made improvements over Bitcoin, and the scalability factors has still affected, let's say, Ethereum. But most of the new coins are built on the Ethereum network, right? And there's a whole lot of other things going on with Ethereum that Ethereum does that Bitcoin doesn't do, right? And then the idea of Litecoin is that maybe that's the currency that everybody's going to use because it's less volatile. It's silver to Bitcoin's gold. So each currency kind of has a thing they do. Monero is the thing that's like, it's really secure. If you really want to keep your stuff secret, Monero. So all the currencies have different things they do. And there are new currencies coming out all the time. And I'm watching a trader out of Singapore called Ryan Lai. I think it's Lye is his last name, and I highly recommend you check him out. I'll put a link to his channel below this video if I can remember, and if I don't remember, please nudge me in the comments. I'll try to remember. I'm deep in trance when I do these videos, and it's also early in the morning, so sometimes, like, by the end of the video and by the time I get it all edited and uploaded, I forget some details, but. So that brings me to today's focus, and I'm going to just focus on one. I'll do a quick chart check later, but I just want to focus on this quantum, okay? And I've heard a lot about quantum from Ryan Lai, Ryan Lai, I don't know how he pronounces his name. We'll call him Singapore Ryan. He has a program called Crypto Grinders, and he occasionally accepts new people into his group, so you might want to check him out. So he's talking about quantum, And he's not talking about quantum like a lot of these other ICOs, initial coin offerings, if you don't know the term. Quantum is something that is literally designed to do something different and to do it in a different way. And to get back to the miners, one of the big problems with digital currency is the mining, because the miners end up having too much control and too much power. And mining gets progressively more difficult and progressively less profitable. So it has some challenges just the way it's set up. And so the quantum project, and I'm just beginning to learn this, people, so please don't quote me. I'm not a freaking library here, right? I'm a big picture guy. And what I get from quantum is that it's designed to be based on proof of stake versus proof of work. And so as far as I understand it, and set me straight if I don't get this correctly, those of you who are more experienced than I am, I'm trying to make this simple for the newbies, so hang with me. Proof of stake means basically you can choose to keep your coins, to stake your coins. And that's how the mining works, right? You kind of loan your coins back to the network, kind of like in Steam. You can take your Steam dollars and kind of turn them into Steam power. If you turn them into Steam power, you don't have access to them for a while. And if you want to get them out, it takes time to get them out. And those are some of the similarities to what a Ponzi scheme does, is that a lot of times you lock up your money for X amount of time, but you can see it growing in value, right? But in this case, you can unstake your coins as well, as far as I understand. So the bottom line is quantum is about to launch. And right now, you can get quantum tokens. This is not the actual coin. This is the quantum token. And if you then move them to, let's say, the Bittrex exchange, you can then, when they release the actual coin, when the network goes live, you will actually be automatically swapped over into their coin. Now, there are also, according to Ryan from Singapore, there are a lot of scam sites already. So be careful. Only do your quantum swaps if you're going to do it on an exchange, as far as I understand. And I'll keep you posted as I kind of dive deep to this, because the last 4 days I've been like incredibly, insanely busy. And my research buddy Mike has been kind of keeping me up to date on this. And the bottom line is we're going to get some quantum. And I have, the cool thing about the Exodus wallet is that it has quantum, right? And I've got like 5 of them. So I have some Bitcoin, and I'm going to swap out my Bitcoin for some quantum. And we'll see what that's like. And then I'm going to move my quantum to the Bittrex exchange. I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll figure that out. So I'm going to do, I don't have that much right now, so I'm going to do all of my Bitcoin. And this Bitcoin has come from my Genesis mining, just so you know where it's coming from. And the other piece of information that I'm going to share with you, nice, I'm just going to exchange it. Sweet. And away it goes. So I could watch the progress, but I'm not. Okay, so while that's happening, boom, boom, boom. What else happened? I'm not going to watch sometimes I like watching the process. All right, so that's September 6th, and today is September 19th. So I'm going to stock up on some quantum. I'm not going to go all in and put all my portfolio on quantum. And that's what's emerging from the weeks of doing this, is a very simple trading strategy. And that is this. Every time you have any extra money at all, any US dollar, any whatever what your currency is, your fiat currency is, instead of, I don't know, Ryan suggested, if you're a sneakerhead and you always have to have the latest sneakers, like, just wear the sneakers you have and take the money you would have put into sneakers and buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, and buy Litecoin. Just literally those three you can get at an exchange, start buying them, and building up a portfolio. Whenever they're down, buy some, right? Whenever they go up, just hang on. Whenever it goes down, buy some more, right? Just keep buying. It's a long-term strategy. You don't have to watch the markets every day, but just to check in the morning, see where the markets are. If it's really down, boom, you buy some, right? So you could use literally watch my program every day, see what the market's doing, and make your decision. Or you could just go to CoinAG yourself and look at it, right? Okay, so that's one little step of what I'm doing here, and you can go to coinmarketcap.com and you can look up any of these coins, and they have Quantum has a website, and you can get some quantum charts, and Quantum's about to explode, and it's really, really cheap right now, right? That's why I'm buying it, right? Buy low, sell high. You weren't here to buy Bitcoin when it first came out, right? But you can be here to buy this. Just don't go crazy with trying to buy every ICO, because a lot of them are crap, right? Stay with the ones you've heard about. Stay with the ones you've seen interviews about. And Ryan from Singapore has checked out the team. He's spoken with them. He knows them, and they have a website. They have a whole different way to do it. So, for example, Quantum is different from other cryptocurrencies because most cryptos constantly create new units in a process called mining. Since this process is expensive, the majority of the people running this operation constantly sell newly created coins to cover their expenses. This creates downward pressure on the price, and new money has to flow into the market just to keep the price at the same level. We put this process in reverse. Quantum tokens are destroyed constantly, and the amount of units in existence decreases over time. Just as mining of other currencies creates downward pressure, quantum destruction process puts upward pressure on the price. This process causes the value of quantum tokens to increase over time, even without fresh money flowing into the market. Cool, right? Built-in scarcity, right? We want supply and demand. Scarcity drives the price up, but we still want to have enough of it to use it, right? So that's an interesting process. Is quantum a deflationary currency? And again, people, remember, your US dollar is an inflationary currency. It's constantly buying less. So why do we basically have to have two-income households, right? Even people who are doing really well financially have two-income households. It's like, and go to a restaurant. Can you buy a steak today for the same price you bought it 2 years ago even? No, right? So that's one of the things we're all trying to do, is find a place to put our money to store the value that we're creating in our lives so it doesn't erode. Do you see how important this is? And if these guys have addressed that and fixed it, it could be the solution, right? And it's different. It's outside of the box. It is an improvement in like 15 ways over, it's like taking the stuff that works from the blockchain and the mining concept and adjusting it so that it actually works. Kind of like IOTA uses the tangle. So, and again, we'll see, which one's going to prevail, or will they both kind of coexist perfectly, right? So quantum is a deflationary currency, yes, because quantum tokens get destroyed on a monthly basis. The amount of units in existence decreases each month. This makes quantum one of the few real deflationary currencies in the world. How are quantum tokens destroyed? Any excess funds generated from the liquidity pool operations are used to buy quantum tokens on the market and sent to the black hole address. This process is transparent and auditable in real time using the Ethereum blockchain. Okay, so people, there's a lot more detail here. Go deep into it. Check it out. They have a website, quantumproject.org. And they have some prices here. Oh, that just took you to the same place I already had you. Okay, and destruction, what is that? All right, so I don't quite understand the destruction thing, but it's looking very interesting to me. So I'm in, right? And I'm going to see how it works. And so there's quantum. All right. So if you guys have questions, please put them in the comments below. I really want to hear from you on this, and I'm continuing to do some research on this. I'm sharing with you my process of I hear about something, then I hear more about it, and then my friend double checks it, and then I check it, and then I watch this guy Ryan. Oh, it just happened. It just happened. Let's go look. Oh boy, I love that sound. Oh yeah, look. Okay. So now I got some quantum in there, all right? And it's not a lot. And we'll see where it goes from here. And just a quick look at my portfolio. I've got a little bit of Augur. I have a little basic attention token. I got a decent amount of a Dash. I had some EOS, but I got rid of it because I realized it was just a token, but I'm going to start buying more EOS because EOS is also a currency that I'm watching and paying attention to. I got one Ethereum, and I'm going to start buying more Ethereum at Coinbase with my US dollars. That's my plan. I'm not going to. What I was doing was I was using Bitcoin like I just did today to exchange for other things, and that's going to stop pretty soon because I'm going to just start taxing myself every day from my US dollar bank account and I'm going to buy Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin on a regular basis whenever it dips. I'm going to just buy the dips. And I'm not going to worry where the price is. I'm just going to buy the dips. Every time it goes down, I'm going to buy the dips, right, on a regular basis. So I have not gotten any Omise Go yet. That's another one that I'm kind of watching. And the thing is, you don't want to get too many of these because it gets overwhelming. For me, that's my, I don't want to have too many of them because I get overwhelmed and I'm not a detail person. I want kind of a portfolio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 of these in here. And I have Monero over on Bittrex exchange at the moment. I have not moved my Monero to my Monero wallet or any of that stuff but I'm still in the process. So that's kind of my update where I am. And so you guys can see that I'm not a big frickin' trader here. I'm young, I'm learning, and I'm applying with small amounts of money in real time so I can learn. All right. And right now I'm pretty bullish on quantum. I think it's going to rock. And we don't know when it's going to happen. Evidently, there's a lot of significant corporations who are paying attention to it. And one of the other pieces is that quantum is something that actual credit card companies or actual, financial processing could be done on. And it would save large corporations millions upon millions upon millions of credit card transaction fees. Because every time you use your card, let's say at your gas station to buy gas, the merchant has to pay, 3 to 4% to the credit card company, right? And if the gas station didn't have to pay that 3 to 4%, or even if it was only 0.5%, it would save them millions and millions of dollars. And so quantum is kind of designed to solve some of those real world problems. And that's the leverage that we're looking for. How can we solve real world problems? And Bitcoin solves one real world problem. It's a place to put your value where you can kind of store it, right? But very few people are buying anything with Bitcoin, right? The transaction times are too slow. Now, if the transaction times were fast, were instant, and the block sizes were big enough so that the network didn't get clogged and congested, slowed down and expensive, Bitcoin has the public's attention, right? Everyone's heard of it. Most people have heard of it. The media has heard of it. So if Bitcoin actually worked for more than just storage, it would be great, but it doesn't. And you've maybe seen some of my videos where I was like back a couple of weeks ago, I tried to move some Bitcoin into Litecoin or whatever, and it took all day, and it was frustrating, and I got pissed, and I was like, you know what? The hype is great, but ultimately Bitcoin has some problems, right? It has some serious scaling problems. And the general public doesn't know about that. You don't know about that or learn about that till you get into it and dive into it. So anyway, let's run through the charts real quick, just because I haven't looked at them yet. I just looked at Quantum, and now I'm looking at Bitcoin, and it's back up to 4,005 US dollars at the moment, and it should be interesting if it makes another run at 5,000. But the thing is, guaranteed, if it hits 5,000, there will be another correction, right? That's kind of the nature of the beast at this point. And that volatility is cool, because if you miss this, like I was busy over the weekend, right? I was paying some other bills, and this week I actually have money to buy Bitcoin, but it's up again. So part of what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building up my US dollar wallet at Coinbase. And so that when it's down, I can immediately turn my US dollars, boom, into Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Ethereum. So that's my new long-term strategy, and it's a lot simpler. It's not day trading, okay? Day trading is great, and at some point, if I have time to look at the screen all day, maybe, yeah, I'll get back into it. But to learn some of the basics of day trading enough to go, well, you know what, that really doesn't fit my personality. To learn about the Ponzi schemes so that you really understand that they are black holes into which you put your Bitcoin, even though they look good. They're like, think about a Venus flytrap, It looks really good to the fly, and the fly, oh, that looks good, smells good, and it gets there, and the Venus flytrap just eats it, traps it, and eats it. The Ponzi schemes are like that. So you want to develop the ability to avoid them rapidly and decisively. And if you want to watch the saga of Ponzi schemes, check out Ryan Berkness's channel on YouTube. I think he's a nice guy, but he has helped more people lose more money than anybody I've ever been aware of, right? Including myself. And I have no ill will towards him. I think he's trying to do the best he can. He paid off his credit cards with his affiliate money from sending hundreds of people to different Ponzi schemes, all of which closed right after he recommended them. So be careful, people. I think the turtle wins the race here, right? Start thinking long term, learn the skills, jump in, take a couple $100 and play with it, and see if you can learn how to lose it without losing your shit, right? So that you can be non-attached to your daily outcome, but keep your eye on the prize of that long-term goal of increasing your wealth, increasing your abundance, increasing your resources and your resourcefulness in a way that the rest of the population hasn't caught on yet, right? And most of them never will. Some of them will. And when they come into the market, the prices are going to go up, right? So that's the bottom line. All right, so enough of my flapping my lips. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. It's just kind of top of my head, stream of consciousness stuff, and that's what I do. So if you like that, stick around, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, all that kind of stuff, and I really appreciate it. There are links below for some helpful stuff like, Coinbase. If you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up there. Use my link. They give you $10 of Bitcoin. They give me $10 of Bitcoin. It's a win-win. Genesis Mining. If you choose to do something there, use my little code. You get 3% off. Blah blah blah. All that kind of stuff. And the quantum I bought today was with money that has come in from my Genesis Mining, and that's kind of cool, right? So you want to have a couple of different strategies. The mining strategy, it's not permanent, people. At some point, the mining is going to stop because it's not sustainable long term. But right now, it's working, right? And Genesis Mining and I think one called Bit Club Network, I think if I got the name right, those are legitimate. Those are not Ponzi schemes. They're legitimate businesses run by real people who I've seen interviewed. There's videos of people going there, et cetera, et cetera. So those, if you want long-term kind of steady mailbox money, that's where we're putting, me and my team, my group, my gang, we're putting some of our money there. And then that generates coins, right? So that's kind of cool. And then any US dollars that you don't absolutely need to pay your bills and your mortgage and all that stuff, anything extra, instead of going out to dinner on Friday night, take that $100 and put it into Bitcoin, put it into Ethereum, put it into Litecoin, and you know, that should be like maybe 75% of your portfolio, and then whatever that other quarter, divide into smaller, newer coins that might someday replace these big three. That's my mindset. You do what you want to do. This is not financial advice, blah, blah, blah. All right. So there. Let's just take a quick look at the markets here. Let's just start from the top. Bitcoin Cash. I want to pick up some Bitcoin Cash. I think it's a good time. We have a sideways trading range, and it is starting to recover, and it's affordable, and it has solved some of the problems, and we'll see if it has legs. We'll see if it has a life of its own. You know, for me, I didn't play it right. I didn't get Bitcoin Cash when they did the hard fork. So, you know, because I was young, I was newbie, I didn't know. I was afraid to lose my Bitcoin, so I cashed out. I cashed out, and I was still on Coinbase only at the time, and I cashed out, and but then I got right back in afterwards. And so anyway, so we learn. Don't beat yourself up for the things you're learning, right? Be gentle with yourself, and just pay attention. So I'm looking to pick up some Bitcoin Cash. I think it's a good price at this point, because look, we're right back to where it was when it started, right? And it had a big boost. Look at, anytime you see a big boost, it's gonna dump afterwards. It's just gravity, people, right? What goes up must come down. But hopefully it's a trampoline, and you'll notice it came down here, this little tail, boom. Where did it come down to? It came down to a previously created support level, right? And now it's creating a new support level. This is natural. This is steady. This is good, right? So just pay attention to that. All right, Bitcoin again. Shazam Shazupa. And on Bitcoin, I would definitely look at the 1 hours before I went over to Coinbase. Like right now, I'm not going to Coinbase, not buying any, right? I'm only going to buy it when it's down. That's the law. Shepard's law in Shepard's life. Buy low, sell high. And it will be back down, people. It will be back down to 4,000 again. Trust me, it will be. Don't chase this, right? That's rule number one. Don't chase a rising market. All right, Dash is looking really good on the 1 hours. Let's switch over to 1 day so I can get that perspective. Okay, so Dash has made a nice move back. And yeah, sweet. And again, I'm still bullish on Dash, but I wouldn't buy right here. I'd wait for the next, news announcement that crashes everything. And those, you can trade the headlines, people. And again, if you have a day job, if you have other things to do, you're not going to be day trading. It just doesn't make sense, right? So the long-term trend is your friend. And so you can just sit tight when these things crash, wait for them to really bottom out, and then get some more. If you're on an exchange like Bittrex, you can put in, a buy signal. So like, for example, one of the things I might want to do, if I have some US dollar tether over on Bittrex from taking some other profits or whatever, I would literally just have a buy signal down here, because I think there's support. Yeah, it might go hit back down to 238, boom, right? So, but in the meantime, I'm just going to do it at Coinbase and see where it is. And if the market's down that hour, that day, when I have the money to invest, I'll just buy some. All right. Ethereum. Ethereum on the one-day chart. Again, we have this beautiful double top in Ethereum. And look, the bottom of the bottom, most recently, was still higher than the bottom back in July. All right. So I think long term, the trend is up. So invest wisely and time it as best you can. All right. And then hold on, hang on. And evidently, Ethereum is now the thing over on Bittrex, and I haven't been there in a couple of weeks because I've just been busy with this other stuff. Ethereum is now the coin, the token that you need to have to buy the others on Bittrex. So I got to check that out. But that's interesting. So I feel, I've gone through a whole range of opinions and emotions about the big three. But the thing is, the big three are the big three, right? Warren Buffett invests in Apple. He invests in Geico. He's a household name investor, if you think about it. And why does he do that? Well, because those are the best companies. If you've heard of it and you've used the product, chances are it's a well-run company and worth investing in. Also, just a little tip: go buy some Tesla stock. Go buy some Solar City stock because Elon Musk owns those companies. I don't know if I'm going to be investing in SpaceX, but his solar and electric combo, where he's designing solar roofs that you just build the house and the roof is just solar, right? And the battery is a Tesla battery, and your car is a Tesla, and your roof runs your house and your car, and you get to cut out the utility companies and the oil companies. That, people, is revolutionary. That's the kind of thinking I'm trying to think. What can I invest in long term that has sustainable and positive results for the planet as well as myself? Okay? So, Ethereum, yes. Long term. I haven't looked at IOTA in a long time. IOTA's recovered nicely. And I think do I have some IOTA? At one point I did. I can't remember. I got to double check that. See, I'm not a detail guy. Not the detail guy. But if you take care of the big picture, a lot of times the details take care of themselves, which is what I have found. And Litecoin is back to the range where I was actually buying it. I was kind of buying it here. And unfortunately, I was not able to take advantage of this drop to 32. I would have picked a ton up because I was busy doing other things, right? And you're probably busy doing other things a lot of times. So you got to have a strategy so that you don't make yourself feel bad if you miss some of these things, because there will always be other opportunities. And I think it's going to 100. I really do. Litecoin is going to 100 possibly by the end of 2017. I don't know. I can't guarantee that. But I've put a sell stop for a portion, not all of it, but a portion of my LTC. And if it hits that, boom, that will cash out into US dollar Tether, which then I will be able to use to invest in some other coins, or perhaps to wait until Litecoin crashes and then buy it lower so that I get more Litecoin. It's a way to kind of amplify and crank your crypto. All right. Those are some thoughts, some ideas. And Monero seems to be continuing right along the line I drew the other day. Sweet. Might be a good time to pick up some Monero. It looks like it's up, but it's down. Let's look at the 1 hour Monero here. Yeah, nice little sideways trading range with Monero. I just pop it here. And again, these lines, you can draw the lines any way you want to confirm your bias, right? But just notice the bottoms are higher. That's a good sign. It's consolidating. It's in a sideways trading range on the 1 hours. Not a bad time to get in. Not a bad time to get in. It's below 100. So boom. All right. So people, that's it for today. Go back to the Bitcoin chart. And I hope this was helpful. I hope it was some information for you guys. And I appreciate very, very much your attention, because that truly is the most valuable currency in the world, is attention. And the more you focus on things that support you and help you learn and grow, the wiser and deeper you are, and the better your experience in life is. Because I'm a real believer in do-it-yourself learning. Nobody else knows what you need to learn. But if you continue to follow your curiosity and follow the things that you don't quite understand and go a little bit deeper into the things that you're curious about, and pay attention to history, pay attention, read biographies of great people who have struggled and overcome massive odds, who have demonstrated determination and persistence in ways that perhaps you need to acquire. And by just immersing yourself in their mindsets, in the way they think, you can begin to change your own neurological process. We have these things called mirror neurons, and we do learn from other people. The thing is, you got to be very careful who you hang out with and who you're paying attention to. And there's a lot of bullshit out there. And hopefully this is truth that has helped you in some small or large way. And I really appreciate you guys. If you haven't yet subscribed by now, please just hit that subscribe button and click the little bell so you get an alert whenever I put up the new stuff. And you might want to check out some of my sound healing hypnosis stuff. I am dropping in massive amounts of suggestions for prosperity and health and wealth and healthy relationships and all kinds of stuff in those programs. So put them on in the background while you're going about your day. Some of them are 20, 30 minutes long. So you can just put it on, put the volume on soft. You don't have to watch them, but just let them kind of permeate through your day. And you might find that things begin to work a little bit easier for you, a little bit better, a little bit faster to get you to where you want to go. But to remember also, sometimes harder is better. Sometimes we choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard, in the words of the late, great John F. Kennedy. And I think that's it for today. So I think somebody should start the music. Have a great one. Peace.